President is putting human rights on the back burner during his administration. Mr. Trump hosted the Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi at the White House on Monday. Activists accuse al-Sisi of being a ruthless dictator orchestrating a brutal political crackdown. Former President Barack Obama refused to host al-Sisi, criticized his human rights record. Donald Trump, though, has different ideas.
We agree on so many things. I just want to let everybody know, in case there was any doubt, that we are very much behind President al-Sisi. He's done a fantastic job in a very difficult situation.
Well, for more on this, Oren Kessler with the Foundation for Defense of Democracy is with us now from Washington. Oren, thank you for being with us. We just heard then from the president, but has the Egyptian president actually done a fantastic job? The economy is struggling, 33% inflation, 12% unemployment. And according to the U.S. State Department, the number of terrorist incidents have increased dramatically since al-Sisi took power in 2013.
That's correct. The economy remains on the brink, despite a recent $12 billion loan from the IMF. Inflation recently reached about 30%. The security situation is not good, despite the assurances that Cairo has provided its own citizens and the world. There are about 2 attacks every day in the Sinai Peninsula by an Islamic State-affiliated group. So it's difficult to take those words from President Trump, or indeed the assurances of President Sisi that everything is just going fantastically well in Egypt. It's hard to take those 100% at face value.
Okay, well, the President Trump also talked about fighting terrorism together alongside the Egyptians. He also talked about this incredible bond between these two countries. Listen to Donald Trump.
We will do that together. We will fight terrorism and other things, and we're going to be friends for a long, long period of time. We have a great bond with the people of Egypt, and I look forward to working with the president.
Okay, so is this the reality in Egypt right now? It seems American workers, though, are facing, what's an increasingly hostile environment there. Egyptians who are working for American companies reportedly facing trumped-up charges, and there does seem to be sort of an anti-Western bias on the state-controlled media.
This is true, and this is a decades-long problem in Egypt, unfortunately, that has been more or less constant throughout various Egyptian governments. This was the case before President Sisi, during the era of the Muslim Brotherhood, and before that, during the 3-decade rule of Hosni Mubarak. Now, that said, the Egyptian-American partnership is a long-standing one. It's a nearly 4-decade partnership that has brought tremendous dividends, I would argue, to both sides. But it's not a perfect partnership, and the anti-Americanism that you speak of is real.
Well, the chances are al-Sisi will continue to receive financial aid from the United States. That includes about $1 billion every year for their military. Would you say that money is actually money well spent at this point by Washington?
Well, on the one hand, Egypt is, I think it's safe to say, too big to fail. We've seen the tremendous migrant crisis that has rocked Europe. We've seen hundreds of thousands of migrants coming from Libya and from Syria into Europe. Now, just imagine if Egypt were to go the way of Libya or Syria, and you'd have a country of 90 million people suddenly trying to reach the shores of Europe. There's also the Suez Canal that passes through Egypt, which is tremendously important to the United States. The U.S. gets expedited shipping through the Suez Canal. So there are a lot of benefits to the aid that is given. On the other hand, the Sinai insurgency continues to rage. This is a group of maybe a few hundred ISIS fighters in the Sinai that the Egyptian army seems incapable of just putting down. So the money is generally, there's a reason to invest money for Washington to invest money into its relationship with Egypt. But whether it's getting the bang for its buck that it ultimately wants remains sort of an open question.
President Obama refused to meet with al-Sisi because of the human rights violations under his watch in Egypt. I guess if nothing else, this photo op at the White House on Monday, a pretty big win for the Egyptian president.
Absolutely. Just in terms of the optics of today's meeting, I think both sides can be very pleased. What Sisi wanted was the sort of legitimacy of appearing with the leader of the free world, and of course the praise that he received from President Trump. And I think President Trump was really looking for an opportunity to show that he's a statesman, that he understands diplomacy, that he's nurturing vital relationships for the United States. So on the level of optics, I think really it went quite well from both sides' perspectives. The question is what was discussed behind closed doors, and what really the tangible outcomes of this meeting will be.
Okay. Oren Kessler with the Foundation for Defense of Democracy. Good to speak with you. Thank you, sir.